Hey, what's up everybody? I have shared this little hip opener stretch with several people over the last week or two. So I figured I'd just make a video and share it with everybody because you might be interested in it. So I've been dealing with some pretty aggressive low back tightness and tightness in the hips over the last several months, and it's really limited me. Over the last couple of weeks, I've found something that has really moved the needle in improving my situation. So I figured I'd share with everybody. So essentially what I had going on, I'm not sure what caused it, probably sitting more than normal, combined with like just not really doing any kind of mobility stuff for a while. But essentially my hip flexors got really tight, so like the front side of my hip, and I started noticing like my posture was what they call an anterior pelvic tilt. So you can just imagine your whole pelvis tilts forward, and it basically just started putting strain on my low back. Where I really noticed it was having this tight hip flexor, doing things that require hip extension in the gym, which is honestly a lot of different things. I think the easiest way to visualize this is my hips are tilted forward. So when I'm doing something like a power clean or a dumbbell snatch that require opening the hips aggressively, they kind of got stuck here. And the only way for me to kind of finish that hip extension was by extending at my low back. So you can imagine how across hundreds of reps through different workouts, basically hips get locked here and then I crank on that low back, and then another rep, hips get locked here, crank at that low back. And I'm kind of exaggerating a little bit, but essentially it was just really overusing the low back. So if you're somebody who has kind of chronic low back tightness, this isn't gonna be for like herniated discs and nerve issues, but if it's definitely muscular, this might help you out. So what I've been doing, I grab a foam roller, and I'm just gonna tell you what I've been doing. Parts of this might work well for you, some of it might not be necessary, but I've been grabbing a foam roller, aggressively foam rolling the side of my low back on my right side, then my left side, then I flip over and aggressively foam roll right in that hip area. And usually you can feel right away something's hot. Sometimes when I push on the low back, I actually can feel muscles across the front of the hip kind of light up. So I know I have something going on in there. If you roll on a foam roller and it like hurts, you've probably identified a problem. So I always start with some foam rolling to kind of get things moving there. But then I've been grabbing the heaviest band we have, which is the purple band, putting that all the way up as high in the hip as possible. And I do this with shoes on, otherwise it pulls me across the floor. You need something with some good traction here. And then stepping back. So essentially this band is now pulling this hip forward. Most important part here though, once we get down here, we have to squeeze our glute. So we really need to squeeze that glute hard so we can focus on that hip flexor. As soon as I squeeze the glute, I feel the front side of that hip flexor get really tight. And so from here, keeping that glute squeezed, I just kind of start doing some exploring. You're gonna kind of have to make this your own. What I found is, once again, keeping that glute squeezed, trying to push the hip forward, tucking my chin, kind of rounding my back forward, and then reaching in the opposite direction. But if this is an issue for you where you have tightness, you will feel it right away somewhere. There's really no wrong way to do this. Just know that if you do something like this and it really lights up through the kind of side and front of the hip, this could be what's causing that chronic low back tightness and pain. I'll typically do like a minute to a minute and a half on the right, and then a minute to a minute and a half on the left, and 2 to 3 rounds of that. Because I'm trying to fix like a very specific problem, I would do this before working out, after the workout while I'm really warm, and then I try to do it again before bed at home. At home, I don't have the band. The band, I think it feels good. I think it helps a little bit, but just know if it's gonna be a pain in the ass for you to use the band, or if you're not at the gym, you can do that exact same thing at home without the band. So I think when you're trying to initially overcome the problem, frequency 2, 3, 4 times a day, If we're doing more of a maintenance thing, so as soon as I get this under control, I'll probably go back to doing it just before workouts and just before bed. But give this a go if you're somebody who struggles with like chronic low back tightness and hips. Once again, not gonna be a fix for like nerve related issues, but if you're pretty sure you just got like some tight hips and muscular things going on, give this a go. It took maybe 4 days and I really started noticing a difference. So it can happen pretty fast. So good luck, guys.